Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today I got a really epic, awesome deck profile for the brand new Tearlaments with a little bit of Despia dashed into it. So what we call branded Tearlaments. So this is a quick deck profile. I think it's probably one of the best deck profiles, probably one of the best kind of engines to run with Tearlaments. So without further ado, guys, let's hop into this video. So the first three cards that we really want to start off this deck with is Tearlaments Rhinoheart. So this is pretty much kind of like a must-have at like one of your starting turns, but you're able to pull this card at mostly any point of the game. As long as you have any Tearlament cards, then you're pretty much set in stone. So what this does is, if it's normal or special summon, you can send one Tearlaments monster from your deck to the graveyard except Tearlaments Rhinoheart. If this card is sent to the graveyard by that card effect, you can special summon this card, then banish it when it leaves the field. And if you do one Tearlaments card from your hand to the then you can send one Tearlaments card from your hand to the graveyard. You can only use this effect once per turn, but you can like send one of the Mirror League cards or the what is the other one? Havanus. So we'll get to those right now. So you want three of each, 3 Havanus, 3 Searing, I think I'm saying it correct, and 3 Mirror League. So pretty much the one that you want. Well, to be honest, you can go with any of them, but depending on where you are on your combo, it's pretty much better off to start with Mirror League. If this card is normal or special summon, you can send the top 3 cards of your deck to the graveyard, and if this card is sent to the graveyard by that card effect, except during the damage step, you can fusion summon one fusion monster from your extra deck by placing fusion materials mentioned on it from your hand, field, or graveyard, including this card. So this is really teams up really well with Rhinoheart to fusion summon. Well, honestly, mostly any of these cards do, just depending on where you're at on your combo. For example, Havanus is pretty much almost the same. When your opponent activates a monster effect on the field, she's more like a hand trap, if anything. Like a quick effect type of deal from the hand. You can special summon her, and if you do, send the top 3 cards from your deck to the graveyard. And if this card is sent to the graveyard by a card effect during the damage step, you can fusion summon it. You can fusion summon one fusion monster from your extra deck by placing materials mentioned from your hand, field, or graveyard, including that card. And then Searing, that's how you pronounce her name. Searing, so during your main phase, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, send one monster from your hand to graveyard, then send the top 3 cards from your deck to the graveyard. If this card is sent to the graveyard by an effect, you can fusion summon one monster from your extra deck by placing fusion materials. Pretty much the same thing. So, like I said, most of these are kind of the same. They're different names. They're all. Well, you have your 4, your 2, and your 3. So. These are fundamental to have in your Tearlaments deck, and yeah, you won't be able to play Tearlaments without these 3. So the Despia or branded engine that we have here is, we're going to go with 3 Aluber, 2 Fawn of Alvaz, and 2 Despian Tragedy. I shouldn't probably, like, I'm pretty sure most of you guys know what all these cards do, but if not, we have Aluber, which, if it's normal or special summoned, we can add one branded spell trap from your deck to hand. And if a face-up fusion monster you control is destroyed by battle or leaves the field because of the opponent's card effect, While this card's in your graveyard, you can target one effect monster your opponent controls, special summon this card, and if you do, that targeted monster's effect until the end of this turn, you can negate the targeted monster's effects. You can only use one Albert Despia effect once per turn. So Albert really great because you're gonna need him for like the fusions. And then you have Fallen of Albaz. Obviously, you guys know if y'all special or normal summon this card, you can discard one card, fusion summon one fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters on either side of the field as fusion materials, so kind of like a super poly. Great to have. And then Despian Tragedy, I chose to put 2 of these because you can also recycle your branded spells with this. Obviously, you can also add a Despia monster from your deck to your hand if this is in the graveyard. So really good way to pick up an Aluber, or if, you know, for any case you need to get like a branded opening, which is definitely going to help down the line. So this is what I have for a branded engine is just these 3 cards. So I also included one Shadal Dragon for the window that you need to fuse, and 2 Visas Starfrost. So the Visas Starfrost has really good synchronology with the with Tearlaments, so it syncs very well into this deck, and also it has a really neat effect. You don't really need to add this, but I like having him here because you with some of the spell cards that we have, we can actively search for him. And he has a really cool, unique ability where you can destroy a monster. And if you do, obviously you have to destroy a monster from your side of the field, which if you destroy a Tearlaments and they go to a graveyard, you can activate their effect. So this is pretty cool because it's a special summon, so it's not going to require one of your normal summons. So it also has the effect where if this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can gain attack equal to either half of the original attack or defense, whichever is higher. Your choice if tied. So this is a pretty cool card. It's kind of gimmicky, but it's good if like you're in a tight spot. Definitely would be nice to have with you, you know. So for your spells, for your hand traps, so we have Effect Failure. So Effect Failure is going to be very important when you go up against like sprites and stuff. And we have Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. I also included Ghost Mourner and Moonlight Chill. I think this card's pretty good. I know a lot of people don't use it, but if your opponent special summons a monster, which pretty much is always the case, during a damage step, you can discard, except during a damage step, you can discard this card, then target one of those face-up monsters, negate its effects until the end of the turn, and also if that face-up monster leaves the field this turn, its controller takes damage equal to its original attack. So I think this is a pretty cool card. You don't really have to go with this. You can go with 2 Ashes as well, or DD Crows. This is just my setup. Honestly, with the hand traps, I think, you know, as long as you have some sort of Effect Veilers or Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, you'll be okay. Like I said, you could probably go with some Ash as well, or you can also go with some DD Crow. You'll be okay. So you want 3 of these Primeval Plant Pelarino. I know they're pretty expensive, but they're a must-have for this deck. This is a really awesome field spell where you can activate it and it adds a Tearlaments monster or Visor Starfrost from your deck to your hand. Fusion monsters and Tearlaments monsters you control gain 500 attack, so that's not bad. If a Tearlaments monster you control is in the graveyard, which is probably going to be most of the time, it's shuffled into the deck, except during the damage stuff, you can target one card on the field, destroy it. So it pops a monster, it lets you search for monsters, and it has a 500 attack buff on any fusion monsters. And if this, you can only use it once per turn, but like this is a really important card. You need to have this card. You need to have at least 3 of them. You can probably get by with 2, but 3 of them would be the ideal situation. this is a must-have card for this deck. Most of the time you're going to be able to get a free pop-off just because you're always shuffling cards back into your deck. Also, you can add 1 or 2 of these terraforming to add a Pellerino into your hand. This is my preference, but 2 Ultimate Slayers. So Ultimate Slayer is a brand new spell card that just came out in Power of the Elements. You control, your opponent cannot activate monster effects in response to this card's activation. That's awesome. Send 1 monster from your extra deck to the graveyard, then target 1 monster your opponent controls with the same card type. Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, Pendulum, or Link. Shuffle it into the deck. So it doesn't even send it to the graveyard. It shuffles it back to the deck. So it makes it so much harder for them to retrieve that card. And depending on what you're sending to the graveyard, you can get an extra bonus effect, which is really awesome. This card is probably going to be underplayed and it's probably underrated, but I'm running 2, which is awesome. Also, you can run 2 or 3. I'm running 2. 2 the Branded Fusion, so you guys already know what Branded Fusion is. It's basically a free fusion that pulls anything from your deck to fusion summon a Albaz monster. You can only activate 1 Branded Fusion per turn. The only downside, I think, is you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except fusion monsters, which is not bad though because you're running a whole bunch of fusion monsters. Also, you want 2 branded openings. I've seen people run 3, but I think 2 is perfect for me. We already know what this does. You discard a card, take a Despia monster from your deck. So we use this to get our Aluber, and yeah, you can special it in defense position. And for the rest of the turn, if this card resolves, you can only special summon extra deck monsters that are fusion monsters. So remember, fusion monsters, that's all we're pretty much running. If a fusion monster you control would be destroyed by this card effect, you can banish this card and pretty much save your fusion monster. So this is a pretty cool card. I know this is a super rare card, and I think it's pretty pricey right now. But yeah, if you can get 3 of these, that'd be great. 2 is fine for me. Running 1 branded in red, so you don't even have to run this, but you know, Albaz or Despia in your graveyard, add it to your hand, and then apply the following effect: fusion summon 1 level 8 or higher fusion monster from your extra deck by banishing fusion monsters listed on it from your hand or field. And most of the time you'll probably have like Tearlaments cards, so you could probably get a Tearlaments. So running 1 polymerization card, so we all know what polymerization is. 1 crossout designator, so 1 crossout designator just in case, you know, if you were facing a mirror match, this comes in handy. You just really need 1. Running 1 Call of the Grave. Everybody knows what Call of the Grave does. Target 1 monster, 1 monster in your opponent's graveyard and banish it, and if you do, negate its effects. You can go with 2 infinite impermanents. So you can go with 3, but 2 for me is good because I also want to add the Tearlaments Meta Noise. I've seen people run 2 or 3 of these. This is okay. Pretty much, you know, if you have a Tearlaments monster or advises, target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls and changes to face down, defense, then send 1 Tearlaments monster from your deck to the graveyard. And if this is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can target 1 Tearlaments monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand. So this is pretty neat. You can run 2 if you want. 3 is kind of pushing it, but it's a good card. So that's it for our spells and traps. So we're gonna go ahead and run into the extra deck. So the extra deck, I will start us off with 1 Kaleido Heart. So a Kaleido Heart, you can go with 2, but I think 1 is pretty good. Pretty much you need the Rhino Heart and 2 Aqua Monsters, so you can get like 2 Merly, is that what it's called? and then a Rhino Heart, and you can special summon this one. You can target one card your opponent controls, shuffle it into the deck. If this card is in your graveyard by a card effect, you can special summon this card, and if you do, send one Tearlament's card from your deck to the graveyard. This is pretty cool. Running with 2 Kikalos, so you can go with 3, but I think 2 is perfect for me. Tearlament's Kikalos is, if you special summon this, you can take one Tearlament's card from your deck and either add it to your hand or send it to the graveyard, so you have the choice. And then you can target one monster you control, special summon it, special summon a Tearlament's monster from your hand or graveyard, and if you do, send the targeted monster to the graveyard. If this card is sent to the graveyard by card effect, you can then send the top 5 cards from your deck to the graveyard. And you can only use one of these effects once per turn. One Guardian Chimera. So one Guardian Chimera for like protection. You guys already know the deal with Guardian Chimera. A Shadal Window. So one Shadal monster plus one dark monster, which most of the time your dark monsters are going to be the Despia ones, and there you go with your Shadal Dragon. That's what I use the Shadal Dragon for. So just kind of put up the negate that while this is face up, we can only special summon once per turn. So then you got Lubellion, the Searing Dragon. This is a really great card. You can discard one card, fusion summon one level 8 or lower fusion monster from your extra deck, except Lubellion, the Searing Dragon, by shuffling fusion materials mentioned to it into the deck. So, Mirror Jade, Iceblade Dragon. So this is kind of pair with Lubellion, and this is a really great card because once per turn with a quick effect, you can send one fusion monster from your extra deck to the graveyard that mentions Fallen of Albaz as material. Banish one monster on the field. Also, this card cannot use the effect next turn. If this fusion summon card is in its owner's control, leaves the field because of the opponent's card, you can destroy all monsters on your opponent's side during the end of phase of this turn. So great card. Masquerade, the Blazing Dragon, just to burn some life points from your opponent. This card's really good also because honestly most of all these fusion cards that go into the graveyard all have effects. So that's why the Ultimate Slayer really comes in handy, because once you pop any of these fusion monsters and they have an effect, a graveyard effect, you're able to, combo off those effects. So this, like, if it goes into the graveyard, you can special summon this card but banish it when it leaves the field, and you can burn its your opponent's life points whenever they activate cards or effects. So really good card to have. Albion, the Branded Dragon. So again, another fusion monster with a graveyard effect. By banishing fusion monsters listed on from your hand or field or graveyard during the end phase, if this card is sent to your graveyard because it was sent there this turn, you can add to your hand or set one branded spell trap directly from your deck. So you could go ahead and get your branded opening from this. And then I played 2 Garura Wings of Resonance, so these go really well with your Ultimate Slayer as well, because if you play Ultimate Slayer and you send this bad boy into the graveyard, you can draw one card. So it's pretty cool. It also has the effect where if your opponent takes any battle damage, it's doubled. So one Time Thief Redoer, and so you guys pretty much know what the Time Thief Redoer does. And then I also have Zeus. So Zeus is the staple, you have to have Zeus. And then one Relinquished Enema, so this is easy to pull out. And then you also have one Access Code Talker, which if things ever get messy, you can always pull out your boy Access Code Talker. You can add another Link 3 monster or another Link 4 and then, you know, combo it off with Access Code Talker. But to be honest, you know, this card probably won't get there. You probably won't use it as much. I just have it as backup. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the deck profile. I really hope you guys enjoyed it, and smash that like button or subscribe for more content. Alright guys, you guys have a great day.